If you look at the world's most exciting performance cars, you'll find that the majority of them offer 2 doors and 2 seats. Most of the time, that's just fine, but every now and again, you might want to take some friends along for the ride, or some kids, or maybe even some dogs. And in that case, it's certainly far more comfortable if you have 4 doors and 4 seats to play with. The problem is, it's very difficult to find a 4-door car that's worth getting excited about. But don't worry, we've found one for you. This is the Aston Martin Rapide S. Seats 4 in relative comfort. It's got even a decent sized trunk. It all starts up front with this trademark Aston Martin grille, which I admit is a little bit less distinctive these days since Ford and Jaguar started putting it on their cars too, but it never looks better than on the front of an Aston Martin. The Rapide S is significantly better looking up front than the original Rapide, which had this chrome bar going across the front that almost made it look like it had braces. Not very flattering. We'll come back and open up the front door, which you can see has a little bit of an upswept lift to it. Not quite as dramatic as a Lamborghini, of course, but it gives it more clearance over the curb or also over the bodies of your fallen corporate enemies. And then there's the rear hatch, which is a little bit difficult to open here, but when you get it open, you get a fairly sizable interior. You can fold down the rear seats, which gives you even more storage space, a nice flat area. Not quite big enough for a sheet of drywall maybe, but a couple of sets of golf clubs should be no problem at all. But of course, it's the rear doors that really set this car apart, and the rear seats inside. They're small, but they're actually quite comfortable, and they're fairly sporty too, with a lot of bolstering. Not exactly sized for a grown adult like myself. I can get in here, and I'm reasonably comfortable, but I would like a couple more inches of headroom, and a little bit more legroom wouldn't hurt either. It's definitely more suited for children than for grown adults. On the rear seats here, we've got an infotainment system that you can get into. Your kids can plug their video game system into the center console. And if they won't stop complaining about your driving, the car even comes with wireless noise-canceling headphones, which maybe will finally shut them up. So it all starts with this weighty Aston Martin key with crystal on the back. You slot it into the center console, and then you're greeted with a very nice sound indeed. That slots into what is a very nicely laid out and nice looking infotainment system that is unfortunately totally bereft of any sort of modern technology. We've got an AM/FM system from Bang & Olufsen, which sounds really great. It's got these pop-up tweeters that are very dramatic when they raise, and the sound quality is indeed very good, but ultimately it's pretty limited in terms of what you can do with it. You do have AM/FM and Sirius, of course. You got a CD player here, and you can connect through the center dashboard here a USB drive if you want to, or an iPod, which uses a dock connector. If you've got a newer iPod or iPhone, you're out of luck, unfortunately. There's a 3.5mm line in too, but if you want to do any Bluetooth A2DP streaming or anything like that, you are out of luck. You can connect your phone to the car, but only for actually making phone calls. That is pretty disappointing this day and age, I have to say. As we move down here, you can turn on the navigation system by hitting the nav button. And you might think that you control the nav system by using this nice big dial that falls right to hand between the seats, but no, actually that's just for the seat heater. To control the navigation, you have to reach up to this smaller dial on the dashboard and toggle in things like your city name, the address, the street name, and I'll do it character by character, letter by letter. There's no voice recognition. It takes an absolute age to enter in anything here, so hopefully you're only going to a few places that you can add as favorites. And then in the gauge cluster, there are 2 more small displays. On the left, you've got your gear and your current speed. On the right, you can toggle through a couple of different things from the trip computer, your remaining range, your current average fuel consumption, which is 14 for us, a little bit painful, tire pressures, and that's about it. It's pretty disappointing for a car in 2013. So what does the Rapide S offer that the original Rapide from a couple of years ago did not? Well, we've stepped up about 80 horsepower this time. We're up to 550, which is pretty healthy out of the V12. It's also a very thirsty car. The EPA rates this at 13 miles per gallon city and 19 highway. Our testing, which included a mixture of both, found us coming in much closer to the low end of the scale, just over 14 miles per gallon. That brings the 0 to 60 time down under 5 seconds, which is really where it needs to be for a car in this category. Though it's not really